You would never
legend,
fall.
legend Kory Woods.
Blair, high IQ.
Yeah, high IQ. Yep, Dan Campbell type of guy, gritty. He's chilling in the lobby. We're going to bring him in here. Covers the Detroit Lions for MLive.com. Please give him a follow on X as well. It does great work. Kory's a legend. Joins us. He's been joining us on Victory Mondays. I like it. I like having Kory. Please welcome to the show, Mr. Kory Woods. Kory, how you doing, my man?
Can't complain. What's going on?
Hey, Kory, we're just talking about the absolute ass whooping we had to endure on Sunday. Not the Lions, the Jags, of course.
Of
just
course.
The historic performance. I mean, it is ridiculous, Kory. We had this. We've been talking the last 20, 30 minutes just about, history and where the Lions land as a team. I know they have to finish the job, but your thoughts on just the performance, like maybe in context, like historically, 600 plus yards of offense is insane. That is like franchise. I think it's a franchise record, right? Correct me if I'm wrong on that. But
that's 645 yards of total offense. That is a franchise record.
Oh my God! Your thoughts on this whole thing? The 9-1, no Aiden, Za'Darius. Just take it away, Kory. This is amazing. 9-1 team.
Well, I mean, first off, you won by 46 points. That is not supposed to happen in the NFL. These guys are professionals. That is the worst loss in Jacksonville Jaguars history, replacing the previous worst loss where they lost by 44 points, also to the Detroit Lions in 1995. So their top two losses in franchise history have been to the Detroit Lions. So that's something right there.
That's crazy work, by the way. That's crazy work.
Yeah. First time they've been 9-1 since 1934. We're talking about they have not had a 9-1 start to their season in 90 years. That's pretty astonishing right there in itself. And I mean, it seems like every week, with the exception of last week, it seems like every week this team is breaking a new record. But they did what great teams do. Yesterday was an example of, and I like to say this, people have been kind of catching on to it. I don't want to be the one who takes originality for it, but the Lions didn't play with their food. They could have easily came out and played down to the competition, kind of been lackadaisical, try to do every trick play in the book. No, they just simply did what Kirby Joseph said, BTE. I'm going to say belt to backside for you guys. But I mean, if you want me to say it, it was belt to ass. I mean, it was an incredibly dominant performance. It was one that I believe that they were not only looking for but needed after the game against the Texans. Even though they still won the game, it's just that you want to go ahead and put up a decent showing, at least a decent showing, and they put up more than a decent showing. Their past two home games at Ford Field, they have scored a total of 104 points. Nuts. This is something that none of us in our lifetime have ever seen. And I think right now the fan base deserves it, and the Lions are putting in work. They're just looking like the best team in football. They're doing what great teams do. They put away teams that are inferior. And I think the one thing that was really telling about yesterday, and it may not get that much love, was that the Lions probably could have took the foot off the gas a little bit of a couple times, but they still kept going forward on fourth down, and they went 3 for 3. So it was just complete domination across the board. We did our Dungeon of Doom podcast yesterday. You can check that out on Spotify, anywhere you download your podcast. And we struggled for 30 minutes trying to figure out what to say, because it's like the worst thing you can say about that game was the Alex Anzalone injury. Aside from that, it's just like, what are you going to critique?
Yeah. Kory, I do want to bring this up. I think I actually asked you this last week when we had the conversation about Aaron Glenn and the defense. And I know, like, yesterday's game, it felt like the defense wasn't covered up, but, obviously going up against Mac Jones, it wasn't as an elite defense. And then the offense goes and has 650 yards. But defensively, I put a tweet out today just looking at all of these rankings that the Lions defense has, and it's just, they're top 5 in almost every defensive category outside of like the yards. And I know we had the conversation about how the yards really don't matter last week. Can you talk about this defense? You were there yesterday. They just fly around. It looks like they have the best safety duo in the NFL with Kirby and Brian, and like obviously the Anzo injury hurts. And can you also kind of just talk about like the depth in that linebacking room going forward? Like, are they going to be able to sustain this top 5 defense type of thing without Ansel over the next 6 to 8 weeks, and kind of with these different guys, Trevor Nowatzki, Malcolm Rodriguez, Jack Campbell, and those guys?
Yeah, and also got to add Neiman in there. His dad Campbell said he's
Neiman,
a guy
yes.
he's a guy that can play all of them.
He's everywhere too.
Yeah, So as far as the Anzalone injury, it sucks, but this is why right now it's paramount for the Lions to go ahead and go get that number 1 seed, because if you're looking at the 6 weeks, that puts it said a 6 to 8 week timeline for Anzalone to come back. The 6 weeks puts you at the end of the season. The 8 weeks puts you at the divisional round. So if you can go ahead and wrap up that number 1 seed, they need to go ahead and do that. And with the Philadelphia Eagles on their heels, I think the Lions just to go ahead and just do their best to just try and run this table. With the defense, you got to give much credit to Aaron Glenn, because every week it's always something that he has to deal with as far as an injury or, a player not being at his best, because even on top of the Anzalone injury, Carlton Davis came in that game with a broken thumb. So, I mean, these guys are battered up, but, I mean, they just somehow continue to make it work. And also another thing we just found out today, Ifeatu Melifonwu, he's going to be taking his 21-day clock was started on November 6th. He's not going to be coming back because he suffered another injury that's not related to his ankle injury. So that's a guy that they're going to be missing, and it's uncertain if he's going to return. So you got to give credit to Aaron Glenn for the way that he's been able to patch his defense up as they go. I believe you said asked something about Za'Darius Smith, if I'm not mistaken. In his first game, I thought he was pretty good. His first snap, I thought he was a little slow off the ball, but from there on, he was just lights out. What he did is not going to show up on the stat sheet per se. I mean, he did get the sack at the end, but the pressure that he brought, the attention that he commands, it freed up some of the other guys to go ahead and make plays. But I mean, you can say the same thing about Aaron Glenn each week when it comes to this defense. He's just figuring out a way to make it work. They respond to him, they listen to him, and they play hard for him just as much as they're playing hard for Dan Campbell. And it's proven. I mean, this is a top tier defense, and it's okay to say that.
And top tier defense, top tier offense to go with it. And part of that, especially yesterday, Kory, was Jameson Williams, Amon-Ra St. Brown, each over 120 yards and a touchdown. Mm-hmm. When you look at that duo and you compare it to, I'm just going to throw out a couple examples. In Atlanta, you got Drake London, Darnell Mooney balling out. Miami, not so much this year. You got Tyreek, Jalen Waddle, Cincinnati, Jamar T. Higgins, and Philadelphia, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith. When you look at how Amon-Ra St. Brown and J-Mo are playing, where would you, and I know it's kind of hard to do it off the spot, where would you rank that wide receiver duo, how they've been playing at least this season?
I still think it's inconclusive because I don't think we've really seen them at their apex yet to really compare them to those other guys. But what I will say is this. If you just factor in at full strength the Lions wide receiver, their pass catchers, from their receivers to their tight ends, I would say the Lions have the best in the league. I mean, you got a guy like Sam Laporta. When you go to the tight end, Sam Laporta and is the all-pro already. And you have Brock Wright, who is no slouch, who's shown to step up in moments when needed. And then if you just go from their receiver core from top to bottom, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jameson Williams, Tim Patrick, Allen Robinson, Khalif Raymond, who is a guy that I believe when you talk about their threats, he is probably the most their unsung hero, because all the thing that Khalif Raymond has ever done since coming to Detroit is answer the call when his numbers called. So it's I don't know how to compare them two just yet. I believe they have the potential to be one of the best, but they have top 5 potential. Honestly, I think they have top 3 potential when you factor in Jameson Williams as an athlete and just a freak of nature, and then just Amon-Ra as all around St. Brown. They have top 3 potential. They have top 3 potential, but I don't think they're just there yet, and I believe that's because we need to see more consistency out of Jameson Williams as far as availability and just performance on the field. But when he plays like he did yesterday, you understand why the Lions went ahead and grabbed him. You understand why they're, giving him chance after chance to redeem himself, because he is a game changer. When he catches and turns that corner, there's nobody stopping him. There's nobody catching up to him. I think it's fair to say he's up there. I'm not gonna put him past Tyreek Hill, but he might be 1B fastest wide receiver in the league.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with that, Kory. I want to ask you about the signing that occurred today. David Long Jr., they brought him into the practice squad, played for the Dolphins, was cut, didn't have a great last 2 years with Miami, but he was pretty solid in Tennessee. We were talking about it earlier in our group chat. It seems like the Lions bring guys to the practice squad, kind of bring them along and then see if they can develop, see what they have left in them. Would you make, I know some, I put out a video today and fans, there were some that were very excited, like, oh, maybe everyone believes, and rightfully so, that this coaching staff can just pull everything out of a player and turn them back into peak form. What do you make of that signing? And what, in your opinion, what do you think kind of the plan is for David Long? More of a body or someone that you think they might have a plan for him to potentially play some snaps in the future?
I think it's just a guy that is bringing as a body. I mean, you need to bring in somebody with, guys going out left and right with injuries. So right now, I just think it's a body. But the Lions have shown that if a guy shows up in practice and excels well, then they're going to give him a chance. And I mean, we've seen that with Tim Patrick. Well, Tim Patrick is already going to be elevated, so that might be
Allen Robinson.
Example. But Allen Robinson that's where I want to go with. Allen Robinson. Yep. I mean, you bring a guy in, he shows out. Hey, we're gonna give you a shot. We're gonna give you elevation. And I mean, it's always been next man up with this Lions team. So I think right now it's just a body, but again, we'll see. You never know. He might show up and show out, and get some playing time out there.
Hey, Kory. So the thing was going around, obviously, social media right now, the Kirby Joseph post game, and obviously a couple weeks ago, Xavier McKinney kind of had those comments about the Detroit Lions blowing teams out and doing all that. What are your thoughts on this? Because obviously yesterday it was a 46-point win. I'm in agreement with Kirby. I think it was Kirby, and also Carlton Davis, who had made the comments. Hey, like you just got to show up and play football if you don't want to get blown out. Like, this is the NFL. What are your thoughts on that whole thing there, where the Lions just absolutely dominating teams, and then some people around the NFL bringing this stuff up?
Well, first off, it's the NFL. These guys are paid to play. I think it would be even more insulting that if guys could blow you out and they chose not to and showed mercy. Just go ahead and go with the kill shot.
Spot on.
If you're on the field, you got to play. I mean, the Lions are paid. It's not like the Lions were going up against an AAU team. They were going up against paid professionals. And if you want to stop them from getting in the end zone, you have the ability to do that. And they just could not do it. So, I mean, I don't understand, this whole thing. It's not like Little League or something like that when you're up 21 points and they do the running clock to get the game over. That's not what we're doing here. But also, too, you have to understand this. This is a fan base that, and I want to say this carefully, this is a fan base that doesn't want to hear that bleep. This is a fan base that has been suffering for a long time, and they deserve to see wins like that. They deserve to be able to see a Lions team go out and win in convincing fashion compared to years past when you would go into Lions games wondering if they can win this game, if they can compete. This is something different. So, I mean, and then here's the last part about it. Was anybody saying this when the Lions were on the receiving end of some of those ass whoopings?
Right.
No,
right.
They weren't. I mean, nobody was saying like, oh, to those other teams, oh, don't take it easy on the Lions, No, they were. The Lions were a running joke. So, I mean, as I say, me and my friends say, the get back is MFer.
Yeah, it is true. And the get back for Jared Goff this week was very sweet. You saw him probably put his best offensive performance of the season together, Kory. Where do you think after 2 weeks ago against the Houston Texans, 5 interceptions, whether you want to blame them all on him or not, regardless, 5 interceptions, took a big hit to his MVP stock. When you look at how he played, when you look at the Buffalo Bills coming to town week 12 against Josh Allen, 49ers down the road, do you think there's any chance, even after Josh Allen won against Patrick Mahomes last night, that Jared Goff could potentially sneak back into this MVP race as a true front runner?
Okay. If you had to ask me right now, I would say no, because and here's the thing. I know people like to say Jared Goff had two couple of bad games in a row where that's not really all the way accurate. I mean, against the Texans, I mean against the Titans, he couldn't really put up any real stats. He had 3 touchdowns, but he couldn't even really put up any real stats because, I mean, he was in the red area so much. The the Packers game, it was what it was, and then you have just an all outright bad game against the Texans. But I think that if he plays how he did yesterday, and he has 2 or 3 more of those performances, and he's able to stay with single-digit picks, which means he can't throw another interception, I would say if he can stay with single-digit picks or even go somewhere maybe 10, finish with 10 or 11 picks, but still has the type of game he had yesterday, I think he could get in the conversation where he can, but can he get back to being a front runner? It really depends. I'm not so sure about that. I mean, right now, even with yesterday's loss, Lamar Jackson, and it's kind of crazy to say, Lamar Jackson is playing his best football of his career, and he already has 2 MVPs. So it's real tough to say, but again, you have a bounce. That was a hell of a bounce back game, and if he has a couple more of those, and he stays somewhere between the 10 to 12 pick range, I believe he can at least get back in the discussion.
Okay. There you go. We appreciate you, Kory. Keep up the great work as always. You guys can follow Kory. I did him dirty. Didn't throw up the lower third about 5 minutes ago. So I'll take that one.
That's all good.
at Kory Woods, give him a follow. He's doing great work, Kory. We appreciate you joining us. Last 2 Victory Mondays, my friend. You're the man.
Hey, no problem.
Appreciate you, Kory.
Kory Woods, man. Go support him. He does great work. Hey, what's going on there? It's Jeff Iafrate. Appreciate you for finishing the video. You can check out one of the videos here suggested or show support by commenting, liking, and subscribing. And buy your merchandise, officialctsports.com.